So ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Mr. Anthony Thornton.
The world around us is changing, and it bothers me that I am powerless to the gathering storm that is approaching. I'd like to tell you a story about my transformation. 6 years ago, I met a woman who would eventually become my wife. I affectionately call her Grasshopper. Now, Grasshopper is a bush-loving Republican from Texas. And she considered me nothing more than a tree-hugging Clintonite Democrat. In fact, when she found out that I was born, or where I was born, she said, "Oh, you're from the Socialist Republic of California." And I thought to myself, who is this crazy woman? So our journey began in 2004. We used to meet regularly with friends to debate the issues of the day: politics, race, religion, sex, all the things one shouldn't discuss in mixed company. And what we discovered was that we had many differences in our worldview, our backgrounds were different, our cultures were different, and our perspectives on the world were different. And despite the fact that our differences were vast, our arguments served us as a critical learning ground for both of us. As we passionately debated the issues of the day, there was a sense that we both believed in the greatness of America and what she stands for. The more we learned, it became clear to us that something was awry. And it wasn't about Democrats versus Republicans. It took us over a year to realize that the establishment parties were nothing more than two sides of the same coin. The false debates only seemed to exist simply to get votes. But as we discussed the issues, Grasshopper realized that the Republican ideas she believed in, people like George W., who supposedly represented the conservative right, continued to disappoint, as he spent money like a drunken sailor while trampling on individual rights to privacy by signing of the Patriot Act. Similarly, while I believed that the Democrats cared about the people, I came to the realization that what the Democrats really want is subjugation. They treat the populace as slaves by promising them cradle-to-grave social welfare dependency on the government, all for the purpose of votes. And the only way they can survive is to divide the people into false camps: the rich versus the poor, the corporations against the unions, whites against minorities, and we see it daily on the news. Ask yourself, what is the difference between a blue dog Democrat and a moderate Republican? Absolutely nothing. It doesn't matter if they have a D or R next to their name. As you look at the results over the past 100 years, the net result is more government bureaucracy, more federal laws, more taxes, more fees and tariffs, and continued erosion of our individual liberty. So today, Grasshopper and I have discovered a new truth: that we are in a war. And it is not a war between Democrats and Republicans. That is a false choice. So what is this gathering storm? Imagine two mythological Greek gods in battle. The one on the left has an army of progressive, liberal statists, who I call the PLS. And the one on the right has an army of constitutionally limited conservatives, the CLC. That's you. This is the battle we must fight. This is the battle we must win. And this is a storm we must survive to take America back. So today, I have some good news and some bad news. Last month, Grasshopper and I attended the Restoring Honor Rally, Washington, D.C., sponsored by Glenn Beck. On the plane, we met several folks from Albuquerque, by the way, who were also attending the rally. None of us had ever participated in anything like this before. That Friday, we watched the simulcast of America's Divine Destiny event at the Kennedy Center. It was a very moving and touching experience to see people from all faiths and denominations grace the stage and speak to our return to those ideas and values which made this country exceptional. And the singular point of agreement by all faiths is our reliance on God, the Creator. On Friday, one of the speakers at the Kennedy Hall, Richard Lee, spoke of autonomy. My wife looked at me strangely and asked, "What does that mean?" Autonomy, according to Webster, is the right of self-governance, freedom, and independence. This preacher stated that those on the progressive left want complete autonomy, freedom to do whatever they want as long as they don't hurt or infringe upon someone else's freedom. The progressive liberal status, the PLS, believe this is the ultimate utopia for mankind. Freedom of choice, freedom from borders, freedom to define marriage between consenting adults, and freedom of speech, unless you disagree with them. Then you are a bigoted, homophobic racist. All of a sudden, like a lightning bolt, I had an epiphany. Autonomy. Hell, we're on the same page. Constitutionally limited conservatives love autonomy. We believe in the rights of individuals, the right to bear arms to protect oneself, the right to do whatever we want as long as it doesn't interfere with another's constitutional rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So what is the difference? Since we both believe in autonomy and that autonomy is good, why all the angst and consternation between the left and the right? Here's the rub. There is another word that starts with an A: authority. Who has the authority, the power to enforce laws, to exact obedience, to command, determine, and judge? The PLS, the progressive liberal statists, understand that if everyone were truly autonomous, that the weaknesses and foibles of mankind are such that man's self-interest would ultimately lead to chaos and violence. Hence, the PLS believes that in order to limit self-interest and to encourage people to take care of those who can't, one needs an authority to override the basic instincts of man. Hence, in their mind, the government should have the right and the ability to coerce individuals to do things for the collective good of society. In their view, it is acceptable for the government to limit one's individual rights and to take the fruits of one's labor because the individual cannot be trusted to do the right thing. Our founding fathers understood this better than I could have possibly imagined. They understood that individual autonomy is good. However, they also recognize that governments are also controlled by men, and that the inherent frailties and weaknesses of man will ultimately lead to corruption, a desire for more power, and a tyranny over the people that are governed. Our founding fathers were pious men, and they understood that man must appeal to a higher authority, a moral authority. Call him God, Allah, Jehovah, the Lord of nature, the ultimate creator. It doesn't matter, as long as your God encompasses the supreme good in all mankind. Herein lies the difference between the constitutionally limited conservative. The CLC believes the ultimate authority is in God, the Creator, as did the founding fathers, and that autonomy is good as long as man self-regulates himself through a moral authority. The CLC believes the collective good comes from our individual responsibility to a moral authority to be charitable, to provide hope to those less fortunate, and to have faith in the goodness of mankind. We don't need government to tell us what to do. The government that governs best governs least.